Everybody, how you doing? Are you having a good time? You might have worked out by now that Martin and I like things with wheels. It might be a grovel, it might be a crashed STI, it could be a walk behind forklift, could be a boat.
Yeah, that has wheels sometimes.
Boats don't have wheels, do they?
Airplanes?
Yeah, we like trailers, we like towing stuff,
Yep.
we like
Excavators.
wheelbarrows. You know what we like? We like bikes. We like motorbikes,
love
we
them.
like postie bikes, we like micro bikes, we
Yep.
like little JDM bikes,
Yep.
and we like mountain bikes.
Yep.
Recently,
Heaps
Martin and I went for a bit of a road trip to Perisher. We took our bikes. I got like a cheap bike that I got just second hand. While we were there, we hired some e-bikes.
I was the only person that showed up with an e-bike. It's like a hardtail KTM thing. It was actually sort of not quite fit for purpose for what we were going to do, which was hit some trails. So everyone else had dual suspension. I had a hardtail, but also had an e-bike.
And I had an analog bike,
Yep.
also known as a bike. What are we doing today? It's a little bit something different.
It is very something different, but it is a modification, and it is...
that?
Well, some people call them accessories. I call it a modification. I call it adding about 28.5 kilos of weight to your track car. Luckily, this is not a track car, although it goes to tracks. It's going to go to lots of tracks and be mad, and it is mad. But practicality is a huge thing. Buying a wagon, having a roof pod to put all your stuff in, a tow bar for towing around light stuff with a car like this is awesome, but also there's so many things you can attach to a tow bar.
Yeah.
Like
a bike rack, which is this. So what we're going to do, we're going to put the bike rack on the car.
Well, the tow bar to hold the bike rack. The
So
bike rack will be
the
here.
bike rack is not
We will
here.
show you the bike rack also.
That's the tow bar that will hold the bike rack on the car, so then we can take the car to pick up the bikes and then go for a ride on our bikes.
Yes.
Welcome to another episode of Mighty Carmos. This is the bit that we always tell you the
so
stuff that we
long.
already told you. It's already done. Let's have a look inside the box.
Stop it.
Now, Martin, are you saying this is a genuine one?
Yeah, so I got a genuine tow bar because I don't usually own late model cars. This is 5 years old. They just stopped making this particular model of, I know.
It's very good.
They stopped making this model of car, but the accessories and stuff you can still buy. Now, an aftermarket tow bar can be over $1,000.
Oh yeah, easy,
Sometimes
easy.
a factory one is actually cheaper, and in this case, this was about $800, which is still...
That's pretty good.
It's up there, but look.
Because on the dual cab, I got a Hayman Reese. I think it was like $1,200 or $1,300
Yeah,
bucks.
yeah, and sometimes they're heavier duty because this car's not going to tow 3 tons like a ute can.
Yep.
But what's good about it is all like the instructions, everything like with torque settings, all the extras, the wiring loom, like literally everything you need, which is really cool.
Because this box is what would get delivered to a dealer when someone options the tow bar, and then it would be someone at Subaru that actually puts it on for you, right?
Exactly,
Like
and
at
a lot of
dealer.
the time when you're buying one of these, you know, when you tick the box, and then instead of getting your car on Monday, you get it Tuesday because a tech like Aaron, who helped us with this, would spend all day installing it, or
Yes.
probably 2 hours.
Yeah.
But anyway, sometimes these are also made by some of those other local manufacturers because they're so heavy. They're less likely to ship them from overseas. You can also buy them like cheap off the internet. But keep in mind they can often be like light duty tow bars, so you don't want to be putting a 2-ton car trailer behind something that's made of really thin metal. This is pretty chunky, and I think it weighs about 28 kilos, which is not nothing, but I mean, it's worth it, I reckon.
What this does is it opens up the options for your car. I know that people who are into wagons are all about utility and accessibility, getting to places and using it. This here does open you up for a whole lot of different options. You can even get swinging barbecues that come off these. Have you seen them?
Yes,
So it's like you get to
I have.
campgrounds, you put it on your swing. And my favourite, which I could have used when we went to the middle of New South Wales to eat the pies, the toilet. The tow bar toilet,
tow bar toilet,
is
I've
like
seen those.
you put it in there.
Yeah.
I sit on it.
Yep.
You drive. Off we go.
Yep.
It's like being on a train in a third world country. You just poop it on the tracks.
So if you don't like
That's a
boats,
thing.
you can block your ears right now. Boating as well. So they often don't weigh heaps. If you've got a tinny or a little fiberglass boat or like a bow rider type thing, a car like this can tow it quite comfortably because they often weigh half a ton, 600 kilos, and the trailer will weigh another 400 kilos. This tow bar, I believe, because of the car mostly, is rated to 1,200 kilos. So max towing capacity 1,200 kilos, max static ball load 120. Now on a big dual cab ute, you might have like 150, 180. You can have the extra ball weight. This is a car, not a ute. The suspension and everything is what plays into it, but also braking. We have upgraded the brakes on this car, which obviously helps with towing.
What did you say it was? 1.2?
This is 1.2.
Yeah, so you're not going to be able to tow a car trailer with it, like with a car on it.
Yep.
Box trailers, yes. Bikes, yes. Small camper trailers, yes. There are some specific small things like, I think it's called like a Jayco pod or something, like a thing that's like made for being towed around by like X-Trails and stuff like that, because obviously if you're towing really, really big stuff, you need your Navara, Isuzu, Ranger, Amarok, all that, Hilux, all that kind of stuff. But 1.2 is enough. It's enough to be utilitarian, which is what we're about.
And dual cab utes have gotten a lot better. I mean, so many people are driving them now. They are a lot better than they were even 10 and 20 years ago. So the difference between a car and a ute has like the gap's closed in terms of how nice it is to be in a ute, because once upon a time you didn't want to be in a ute driving a long way.
Think about my first Hilux compared to even the Hilux that's out there now. The Navara's, like, they're just a whole lot nicer. Here's the thing though, I think if this is all you had and that's all you need to tow, that's fine. We do have the SUPERGARAGE Hilux, so it's got like a proper tow capacity for getting cars and stuff around like that. This is a no-brainer. I reckon if you've got a car and you want to get around, it's a no-brainer, you put it on. We're going to show you what's involved in actually doing the thing, and then we'll go get some bikes.
While most likely made by a supplier within Australia, this is badged as a genuine Subaru tow bar, which means it's factory approved. That can also double the price tag in some cases, so it can be worth shopping around locally. Another option is getting a custom-made tow bar, because sometimes the prices are comparable, and with the right person welding it, you can end up with a really quality product. The kits don't always come with wiring, and while it is fairly basic, you might need to customise that too. Also, it's a good idea to check to see if your car needs an aftermarket controller to run the extra lights, or an electronic brake controller required by some trailers and caravans.
Luckily for us, my shiny new exhaust can stay in place, which will save us a heap of time. There's a provision for the wiring loom on the rear left side of the boot. We have to unscrew the trims and then snap out the plastics to access it. Much of the strength comes from the metal plates that are inserted inside the rear frame rails, which are then bolted in from underneath. We can assemble the tow bar on the car piece by piece as we work through it. The kit comes with new longer bolts to accommodate the thick metal plates. All we have to do to get to the lower bolts is loosen the exhaust heat shields and bend them out of the way.
Because tow bars are usually an aftermarket thing most people install in their cars when they buy them, they don't come with instructions. So we're just working this out. We worked out that these braces bolt in from underneath. We thought they went in from the top. That's how it was on an older Subaru I had, but on this car, underneath. Good thing is you don't have to take the exhaust out. The trick, we think, is to bolt everything together but leave it all loose until we're sure it's in the right spot, and then right at the end we'll just go through and whiz it all. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, that's right. And all the wiring and stuff like that could be complicated depending on, you know, what your situation and what kind of car it is. With this one, there's just a loom and there's already a facility for it that we found back in the side there, like in the rear passenger, like behind a bit of trim. So basically once this is all done, we'll have to torque everything up to spec and everything, make sure it's all proper, and then just plug the loom in, run that down, and then it should just work. And that basically comes into a plug down here, which will run your trailer, all its lights and stuff like that. And then usually you've got to cut a little notch out as well to actually make place, you know, for the hitch receiver. Look, we haven't done it on this kind of car before, so we'll see what happens when we get there. Actually, I haven't done one on any car before. Have you done one, Martin?
I've done an old second-handy one.
Yeah, okay.
But it already had, like, a lot of it done. It was on my old grey Subaru wagon, which this is very similar to. It's a bit of a theme happening here, isn't there? Oh, that's in. Being that we are usually dealing with performance cars, like K-trucks and midgets, it's worth talking about weight. Now, this thing I reckon weighs, what do you reckon that's like, 12 kilos, 10 kilos?
Yeah, 10 I reckon.
About that. And then these probably another couple of kilos each. Like it is thick steel, and you want it to be if you're pulling a boat or a trailer or a little camper van or something. You're adding weight to your vehicle. So 20 kilos, what's that? That's the difference of having a third of a passenger or a quarter of a passenger. Difference between eating a whole lot of cheeseburgers or not. But also it's what you pay for the convenience. So you gain a little bit of weight on the car, but the convenience of being able to, you know, chuck stuff in a box trailer or actually be able to use your car and sort of adapt to your lifestyle is really important. I'm getting more and more interested in that as I get older as well, about what it opens up and allows you to do. Do you reckon?
Well, I think that's why people are attracted to getting wagons in the first place, because it lets you actually do stuff. So it makes sense that this is it's just unlocking more stuff that you can do. And the biggest downside, I don't think you can say the weight's a downside for a street car. I don't think you can argue that successfully.
We're not talking about 100 kilos.
No. All you could argue is like, from the rear bar, this here is going to poke out with a little cover that goes on there. Like, that's the only thing that you can actually argue. So it's,
and it
I reckon
replaces,
it's a great little mod to do.
replaces the rear crash bar that comes off, which is probably 5 or 6, 7 kilos around that. So it's not like you're just kind of adding all that weight. You are taking away the original one too.
15 kilos difference, I reckon, total.
Yep. So we forgot to put these plate things in. I was looking at them before, wondering where they go, and they go underneath to sandwich in. So you've got the big bar, then you've got the channel. These sort of then sit on there to help with structure or something.
The tow bar bolts on pretty easily, and with it whizzed up, we can move on to the wiring, starting with the 7-pin flat plug that's mounted near the hitch. The kit comes with grommets to pass wiring through from outside the car to the inside where the plug is. It's important to use them, otherwise the wires will rub and short out on the metal when it moves around. These also keep dust and water out of the inside of your car. The harness that comes with the car simply plugs in, and that will make the tail lights, left and right indicators, running lights and brake lights work with anything that you plug into it. With the wiring done, we can refit the trims in the boot and work on getting the rear bumper cut out around the tow bar snout.
So we were just about to measure up and see how to cut the rear bar. It looks like Subaru has actually already assumed that someone may be adding a tow bar to their Levorg, because look, there's a little template already on there. So it seems to be a little bit bigger than what we need, but it probably will be, yes it will, in the kit. It will end up having this going around it. So basically we go cut, cut, cut. That there goes around that to make it look nice and neat. Done.
Getting the bar to fit snugly around the tow hitch is a bit of trial and error, and so it looks neat, we're going to have a few goes at it until it's perfect, trimming a little of the plastic away each time. If your bumper bar's painted, you need to be a bit careful with how you cut it so you don't wreck the paint.
We also have to get the wiring loom in position, so once it's aligned we can snap the rear bar back into place, then reinstall the tail lights and insert the tongue.
The last bit of the puzzle after the ball's on and we whiz that down is probably a cap to protect it. It really helps, like a black cap to go on there. It's a really cute little stubby thing. This is the anti-rattle thing. Otherwise, what you get is when you've got something on it, and it's even worse, it's amplified when you've actually got load on there and it's bouncing up and around. So the idea of this is usually the nut goes through there so you can tension it up, and then that screws into the bottom like that. You get that tight, like so, and then you tighten that down as well. Heaps less rattling when you actually spanner it up.
Good. So that is how you install a tow bar. It's approximately 2 hours worth of time, and the cool thing is when you don't want to be running it in this mode, you can take that out, store it in your car, put a little cap on there. It's nice and black, which means it's kind of stealthy. That just gets stored in the back. And I reckon it massively unlocks the potential and capabilities of your car. For how much money, Martin?
So the bar to buy this one, a genuine one, was about $800. We know that if you go and get them professionally installed, they're usually anywhere from about $1,200 at the cheaper end to about $2,000 for what is basically the same thing. I have bought one off the internet for like $50 before secondhand and throw it on. Secondhand tow bars are cheap. You can also try wreckers, which is a good way because a lot of the time people are smashing these cars. The wreckers don't care about the tow bars. Go and ask them first. If you're looking for a bargain basement, because this car's still reasonably new, a genuine one's still available, and I think reasonably good value for how well put together that kit is.
This is how quick it is. You get that, slide that in there, get your pin, put your pin through, put the little locking thing on the other side of it, which is coming through.
And speaking of locking pins, it's also a good idea. You can get them at Super Cheap Auto and lots of parts shops. You can get these pins that are actually locks. The reason you do that is a lot of people lock their trailer to their car, but then don't lock this to their car, so people just take the whole lot. So it's a good idea to get a locking one. It has like a little key on it. They do rust out if you're launching boats. Ask me how I know.
All right, how do you know, Martin?
Because salt water gets in them.
You got a boat, don't you?
Yeah, boats are mad.
Holy shit. Anyway, that's another episode of Mighty Car Mods. What's happening next? Don't know. We're going to work it out. Then we'll film it. We'll make a video about it, put it on the internet. If you want to support the show, of course, you can get stuff from our shop, mightycarmods.com. There it is. Martin, it's time to, should we go launch your boat?
I reckon we should.
Should we just go put your boat in the
water?
water?
Let's go for a cruise. Let's go into the harbour bridge.
Come on. And get some seafood, Martin, your favourite.
Yeah.
Bet.